pretty satisfactory, I'd suggest. A little bit more than satisfactory. A point on the road for Bristol City, a 1-1 draw away at Watford, and considering the incredibly adverse circumstances that Bristol City were going into this game with, predominantly the injury crisis that we have at the football club at the minute, I think a point away at a side who, prior to this game, had the third best home record in the division and had been very solid. Beaten Middlesbrough, who were second by 3-0 last time they were at Vicarage Road, and have just gone away to a Year 1 parachute team in Ipswich Town and got a very well-earned 1-1 draw there and got a point at Portman Road. So, considering all of that, Bristol City, I think, have done really well to go to Watford and get the point and kind of stop the rut, I think, is probably the best way you can describe it. A couple of really disappointing losses where the performances were just nowhere near good enough, and that obviously is also massively mitigated by our injuries, but generally there's a serious discontent considering, performance levels and output from certain individuals. Most people in that team, in that starting 11, and on the bench as well, stepped up for Bristol City today and fought, and we fought hard. And this Bristol City team have got a certain knack of doing that. We have earned a lot of points from going behind, and we did so again today. We'll start with the team, the starting 11. It was Radek Vitek in goal. And then after that, it got interesting. It was George Tanner, Rob Dickey. Zach Ryan was back into the defence, and that was good because we need Zach Ryan there. He was on the left-hand side though, so again, not completely well, we're getting there, but don't want him on the left-hand side of the back three. You preferably want him on the right-hand side where George Tanner was playing. McCrory and Hayden Roberts on two wing-backs. It was Adam Randall, Scott Twine and Anis Mehmeti as a central midfield three. You would look at that and go, Christ, that's very attacking, but I thought pretty much all of them did a very good job of being organised and being set up, and there's a lot of protection in there for Twine and Mehmeti, who are not naturally sort of 8s or 6s or whatever. So we clearly had a plan of, letting Watford have the ball, but there was a lot of protection for those two players, so they didn't have to. They won't run around a lot. So yeah, it was not the worst thing in the world to see them in the centre of the park, and they were a little bit more advanced than Adam Randall anyway. On that sort of counter-attacks, transition moments. Sinclair Armstrong, who I thought once again was excellent up top. He has had a couple of off games against Blackburn and against Stoke. That was close to what we saw against Birmingham, where he just ran, and he got the ball, laid it off nicely. Relatively good in link-up play. Not as good as against Birmingham, but still pretty decent. And yeah, he was a pretty reliable outlet going forward. And then the real surprise was seeing Fally Mayulu start up top alongside Sinclair Armstrong. And Fally, didn't have the greatest of games, didn't make the impact I'm sure Gerhard would have wanted to. It started horribly though, and we let them have the ball, and it felt a bit similar to Stoke, where just one moment would have done us, and one moment did do us. Imran Loser halfway inside his own half. Sometimes you do have to hold your hands up and go, Christ, we can't do anything about that. I would generally say, okay, you can't really do something about Imran Loser getting the ball there and playing an absolutely audacious pass into the path of Mark Boller. But also, after that ball is played by Loser, which is a ridiculous ball and it's really hard to defend, McCrory, Tanner have to do more to stop Boller, and Boller gets in on goal. Vitek is also he's clearly sort of undecided on what exactly to do, kind of stands there a little bit, doesn't make himself big, and Mark Boller finishes it. Gets injured in the process, but thankfully for him, no real harm was done. Probably just a collision, I think, might have been with Vitek. At that point, 1-0 up, you want a response, and we didn't really get that straight away, and that was a real disappointment as well. Watford just kept going with the ball, and it felt like this is going to be a really long night, where Watford are just going to pick the ball about, we're going to be running and chasing, and we're not really going to get close to them. Thankfully, that changed, and for a period before Scott Twine's free kick and equaliser on minute number 29, Bristol City really sort of got back into the game, had a little bit more of the ball, got into some dangerous positions. Scott Twine actually, literally in the second minute, had a shot just wide of Selvik, but yeah, it was Sinclair Armstrong actually who was the threat in behind Watford backline pretty much all that first half. Scott Twine puts one in on the right hand side for Sinclair Armstrong a couple of times where he's offside as well. This one on the left hand side, Armstrong gets in down the left hand side. I think it's Petrie. It is Petrie, actually Jeremy Petrie, who just fouls him right on the edge of the box on the left hand side, and it's a free kick to Bristol City in a very dangerous position. It's relatively shootable area. Scott Twine is not going to pass up the opportunity, and I thought he would have gone for the far post, but he just does so well to get it across, up and under, and dipping into that near corner. Selvik doesn't help himself. I will say that partiality. Selvik doesn't help himself. Kind of throws it into his own net, really, and he gets across. He gets across in time, Selvik, but once he's got across, he's got to save it, really, and he doesn't. He ends up in the side netting with the ball, and it's a brilliant free kick from Scott Twine, who is just a dead ball specialist in the Championship and has proven himself to be fantastic from these positions time after time for Bristol City, for many different clubs. So no real surprise seeing that. And Bristol City after that got a load of confidence, got really well, keeping the ball and generally sort of keeping Watford out as well, which I thought was a real positive. Never really got caught out a hell of a lot after we scored in that first half. From that point, sort of 30-minute mark until the end of the first half, we never really got caught out, which I thought was a massive positive. We never really got caught with our pants down, and that I think is a massive improvement to what we've been seeing in past weeks. So much better from Bristol City. Obviously, a little bit disappointing that we didn't start the game quickly, but Watford being at the Vic, with the fact that they were really up for this game, weren't they? Watford could hear through the telly that the atmosphere was quite loud. It was raucous at Vicarage Road, so Bristol City did have to deal with that. We obviously didn't contend with it particularly well because we did go 1-0 down early on. But after that point, we did quite well to get our heads screwed on and get back into the game, and a bit of quality from Scott Twine does it. Second half starts, and it kind of starts in a similar way. Watford with a little bit more intensity. You'd expect that, considering the disappointing ending they've had for the first half. They have a little bit more of the ball, they have a little bit more of the territory. We have to sort of sit in and absorb the pressure, and we did that really well, actually. Second half, it was really profound how we were really organised, really neutralised Watford to a certain degree. They really wanted to pass the ball around the centre-backs and move it across, get it into Loser, get it into Kiyembe, into the middle of the park, Watford. And I thought generally, apart from that one moment, we dealt with Imran Loser relatively well. Adam Randall got in snapped him a couple of times. I think we got better at dealing with Imran Loser as the game progressed. So we got rid of a lot of Watford's main threats. Quadwo Bar came on, Ottoman Mama came on, Ngaki came on. They made an impact. They meant that Watford were a little bit better. But Yuha Rakawa, I think, for us, who came in ahead of Ross McCrory, and Emil Rees, who came in ahead of Fally, I think you in particular, was fantastic. Got so involved, and off the bench, I thought it was a fantastic performance. But those are the only two subs we could have really made, who were sort of experienced players, that were obviously outfield players. After that, we had to bring on Leo Pekova, who I thought had a good game, sort of good 15 minutes or so. Made himself busy, got about, ran, had limited service, won a free kick, actually, didn't he? Where Scott Twine dinks it to the far post and wins a corner of Mark Boller. Ollie Thomas comes on for Hayden Roberts right at the end as well. So a little bit, it's what we've got to work with at this point. Mehmeti has a shot that's saved by Selvik down to his left hand side. Radek Vitek in the second half, I thought, was absolutely outstanding and was brilliant. 7 saves. 7 saves from inside the box, 9 saves in total, and actually prevented of 0.41, and I thought was particularly good in that second half, and was really there were points where you just wanted him to be calm, be assured, and he did that. Grabbed the ball a couple of times, with a couple of corners from Imran Loser where he tipped over, and the second one he punches, and did really well to relieve any sort of tension that could have been building within the team, within that away end. Just did really well. Radek Vitek. There's a save from Quadwo Bar. There's a save from Ottoman Mama down to his left-hand side low. There was another save similar to that. I thought Radek Vitek was brilliant. And, I didn't look at any save and went, oh my god, that is world class, that is unreal. We made a consecutive number of good saves that meant that the pressure was sort of off Bristol City, and there was a little period, sort of 70 minutes on, that we were under the pressure, under the weather a little bit, but we dealt with it relatively well, and I thought we were really good. Just making sure Watford didn't create too much, apart from a little spell, sort of midway through that second half. I thought we dealt with that game really well. And the game management actually was pretty decent. And right at the end, Yu Hirakawa gets in on the transition, the first transition moment we've had in a while, and oh my god, all he has to do is just play it in front of Emil Rees. It's a difficult pass to execute in the moment. Got to understand. It's like 94th minute. Peckover slips in front of him, which may have potentially distracted him as well. But Hirakawa is on that sort of left-hand channel. All he's got to do, it's a 3-on-2 for Bristol City in our favour. All he's got to do is play it in front of Emil Rees, and he plays it to the right with Rees. Rees actually does all right because Ollie Thomas makes the overlapping run. He plays it into Ollie Thomas. Ollie Thomas drags it across, and then I think nearly goes out of play. Then Nathan Baxter just about keeps it in and gets off a throw, and the momentum from that attack died. But that if the ball goes into Emil Rees, well, you never know. It's still a little bit, still a little way out from goal. But that would have, if that goes in the back of the net, we're talking about such. Well, we're already talking about a pretty decent point. The 3 points there would have been such a testament to the group. I still think it's a testament to the group that without Jason Knight, without Max Bird, Joe Williams, etc., Mark Sykes, Neto Borges, Luke McNally, Josh Stokes, Harry Cornick, Cam Pring, these guys are doing so well. They did so well, in this one, to hold off a team who have been performing so well at Vicarage Road this season. I think Bristol City can be really proud of themselves, and certainly very satisfied with how we played and the result in the end as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on Bristol City's 1-1 draw at Vicarage Road. That is obviously the final game before this November international break, so 2 weeks off for Bristol City, which is probably a good thing considering the absolutely atrocious amount of injuries we have before we are back at Ashton Gate against Swansea on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, which should be good fun. But yeah, a very valuable point, a very well earned point for Bristol City on this Friday night at Vicarage Road on the lights, and I think very much, a very, very large proportion that way. And we'll be travelling back to Bristol with very satisfied with what they've seen. So yeah, a Scott Twine free kick, a bit of quality means Bristol City get the point. Thank you very much for watching this video. Keep safe, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you all later. Cheers.